Hello there. You are watching the YouTube recorded version of my show, Live Radiantly, which is a talk show I do every week on WMPG and then upload to my Substack podcast. But I had a request for a video version come through a few weeks ago, and I've had a lot of fun since I practice my show before it goes live every week. And so thank you for tuning in. You're listening to Live Radiantly, a talk show dedicated to guiding you through the challenges of life with creativity, curiosity, and a spark of imagination. My name is Stephanie McLeod-Estevez. I'm an art therapist and breast cancer survivor. I'm passionate about helping everyone, including myself, feel resilient and capable so that we can navigate the ups and downs of life and discover our unique radiance. After all, your radiance is how you identify what's possible so that you can move from surviving to thriving. Join me each week as I discuss thought-provoking themes and then guide you through a live art therapy experiential so that you can explore how the theme impacts your life with the goal of understanding yourself better. While I do hope you'll walk away each week feeling inspired, please note that this show is not a replacement for therapy itself. I do hope that what I have to share will benefit how you see yourself, others, and the world around you. The opinions I'm expressing are mine alone and specifically not those of WMPG, its management, the University of Southern Maine, or the University of Maine system. So today we're talking about when you feel lost in a sea of normalcy. This is particularly true when something significant is changing or has happened in your life. In the second half of the show, we'll do an art therapy experiential that will help you explore today's theme. If you've never tried art therapy before, no worries. I'm going to guide you through the process. And like everything else in life, it gets easier the more you try. A quick note, you can do art therapy by actually creating something on paper, of course, or by using your imagination. The good news is that both ways can benefit you. So if you're driving in a car or unable to stop what you're doing to draw or paint, that's okay. You can imagine what you'd create, and then when you have time, put it down on paper. When you are going or have just gone through what I like to call a critical life moment in which something massive has occurred, it can cause you to question everything you thought you knew to be true. It's an unnerving time and brings up this phenomenon I like to call when you feel lost in a sea of normalcy. Feeling lost is related to how this critical life moment has shaken your sense of self, your identity, and your perspective and perception of the world around you. Even if the change is something you've asked for, you still will go through a form of reckoning and adjustment, and that can leave you feeling unmoored. Nelson Mandela described this feeling remarkably well. He said, "There's nothing like returning to a place that remains unchanged to find ways in which you yourself have altered." Nelson Mandela was imprisoned for 27 years because of his anti-apartheid work, prior to becoming the first Black president of South Africa. I can only imagine what it must have been like for him to experience these profound changes within himself and his country over the course of his lifetime. Even if you don't feel like your life has been impacted by an upheaval like Mandela faced, I do believe that his words serve as an important roadmap for self-discovery, healing, and growth. For me, I experienced feeling lost in a sea of normalcy during my cancer treatment, for sure. It kind of felt like the Twilight Zone, but in which everything around me, from what I could perceive, remained unchanged. But within me and my family unit, nothing was normal. We felt lost while carrying on with our lives as best as we could, feeling comforted by our support system. But feeling lost in a sea of normalcy took on greater meaning for me when cancer treatment ended. All of the sudden, what felt like a full-time job of being a cancer patient was over. Of course, I was grateful that my treatment was successful, and I was happy to see my loved ones relief. But from my perspective, really, when treatment ended, my loved ones' lives seemed to go back to normal, but that was not the case for me. I felt lost within a sea of normalcy because as the adrenaline dissipated, the stark new reality came with this critical life moment. It became abundantly clear. I was surrounded by the collateral damage that came with treatment, kind of like when a tornado rips through your life. It was surreal, overwhelming, and easy to feel lost at sea. At that moment, trying to figure out how to get back to shore, aka reclaiming my sense of self and a life that felt familiar, seemed like an impossible task. Thankfully, by this point, I had had a lot of experience being a therapist of navigating trauma. I also had the lived experience of seeing how my mom managed her recovery from her first round of cancer. And I had the wisdom of my inner pragmatic self that believed if I kept focused on dealing with the here and now, I would eventually find my way through. So if you are feeling lost in a sea of normalcy, here's how to start the journey back home to yourself. Number one, practice acceptance. Acknowledge the full experience of what you're going through, even when your instinct to reject or avoid kicks in. This means practicing inclusion of all of your thoughts, feelings, beliefs related to your experience. You may do this by visualizing that there's enough space within you for it all to exist. Number two, be curious. Invite in a shift in perspective. When you return to a place that feels familiar, be curious about how much you have changed. Notice what's happened within your mindset and your beliefs. And give yourself permission to break free from assumptions or expectations that don't reflect how you feel. Most likely, you're going to have ongoing needs for healing and growth. So be curious about what will help you continue on your path. Number three, adopt a willingness to try. This is an opportunity to focus your efforts on the influence you have over your life, your health and wellness, and release your need for control. Practice saying yes to what creates an opening to possibility and potential. Step into your grown zone, which we talked about in depth on the March 24th show. You can catch that episode in the archives if you want to hear more about the grown zone specifically. Now that I think was before I started doing these recorded lives, so you can find it on my Substack. So if this theme is resonating for you, take a moment to acknowledge what's coming up. This week's Art Therapy Experiential is going to help you explore it. But before we dive in, let's talk a little bit more about how art therapy works. So then I put a little message like, hey, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Live Radiantly on WMPG. And I described to the listeners what I've just been talking about. Okay, so today I want to answer a question I hear all of the time. How do I know if I'm doing it right when it comes to art therapy? But if today is your very first time trying art therapy, I want you to know that you do not need to be an artist in order to benefit from this practice. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Essentially, art therapy is a type of communication that uses color, shape, and form to tell your story. The most important thing to know is that this is a practice of trusting what your creative instinct wants you to do. So if you feel a little nervous, know that you are not alone. Figuring out whether or not you are doing it right with art therapy is a fair question to ask, especially if you're new to the practice. Even though I just mentioned that there's no right or wrong way to do it, when you're learning how to do something, it's helpful to have a sense of what it's supposed to feel like. Here's some cues that you can look for that, yes, affirm you are indeed doing it right. For example, if you notice yourself feeling peaceful inside, you're doing it right. Because art therapy is all about being able to witness yourself and your experience. And let me tell you, even when you're exploring a tender topic through art, the number one outcome I've noticed for myself and others is I feel better, lighter, more clear, because the practice helps you feel validated by the most important person in your life, yourself. If you get lost in the creative process, you're doing it right. This is that flow state where you become so absorbed by what you're doing, so focused on what is happening through the art making, that time just melts away. And often your tension and stress does too. If you start feeling an instinct of what you need to do with your art supplies and then decide to follow that guidance, even if it doesn't make sense to you, you're doing it right. If you discover greater self-awareness and understanding, unexpected resolutions and answers, relief, celebration of your unique self, and more, these are all signs that you're doing it right. As with everything in life, the more you practice using art therapy as a way to communicate, the easier it gets. So now in the show, I put on a song to help people get ready for the experiential. So if you would like to do this live, then hit the pause button on the video and get yourself set up. Okay, welcome back. You're listening to WMPG, or in this case, watching. My name is Stephanie. In the second half of the show, I'm inviting you to try art therapy, whether that's on paper or using your imagination. I'll guide you through a meditation that will help you explore today's theme. Once this is complete, I'll put on a song so that you can continue to draw or imagine how today's theme of identity work and feeling lost at sea, feeling lost in a sea of normalcy, is showing up for you right here, right now. Whatever comes up is what you're going to draw or visualize, so trust your instinct. Just before the show ends, I'll be back with guidance on where to go from here and an invitation. Today's meditation is intended to help you practice acceptance, curiosity, and a willingness to try. Oh, you know what? Oh yeah, no, I did talk about that. Sorry. Yes, I thought for a moment I didn't record that part. Okay, when you are lost in a sea of normalcy, if you are in a place where you can soften or close your eyes, please do so. This will help you get in touch with yourself. If you're not able to do this, get as comfortable as you can. Take a breath in and out. Take a moment to imagine that you are in a boat, feeling adrift, lost in a sea of normalcy. While this might be uncomfortable, you know that this is an opportunity to practice accepting and surrendering. Imagine that each time you breathe in, you say to yourself, I accept where I am. And each time you breathe out, you release any resistance to your circumstances. Breathe in and find yourself accepting your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. And as you breathe out, you leave behind your instinct to reject or avoid what is. Notice that when you breathe in, the openness, the spaciousness of acceptance. And as you breathe out, release any tension that you feel. Relish the relief that comes with acceptance. Now that you have found greater self-acceptance for feeling lost in a sea of normalcy, be curious about how this changes your perspective. How does feeling untethered influence your ability to break free from assumptions and expectations? Can you be curious about how feeling lost is necessary to evolve and grow? Tune into what supports your curiosity, so that you can benefit from mental flexibility. Be curious about your needs and what will help you to remain open to how this experience is changing you. As you practice acceptance, as you become more and more curious about your current state, notice what you are willing to try. It may surprise you. Notice the power of your influence, your mindset, and how this helps your willingness to try, to accept, and be curious. Can you imagine yourself saying yes to this willingness that will help you open up to what's possible, to your potential? When you surrender to what's uncomfortable because you believe in how this will transform you. Allow your intuition, your unique wisdom to guide your growth, healing, and your ability to take care of yourself. Notice how trusting yourself to manage the discomfort of feeling lost in a sea of normalcy grows your ability to feel resilient, capable, and stick with the process. Find yourself believing that you will find your way back to shore and feel at home once again. Take a deep breath in and out. Feel the support of the surface beneath you, bringing you back to the here and now. Tune into your experience and the intuitive knowledge that has surfaced during this meditation. If nothing comes to mind, allow that to be your experience today. The messages might come to you as you use art therapy to represent what you experienced during this visualization. When you feel really connected to your experience, begin or continue to use creativity to reflect what happened on paper or in your imagination. Your creation may want to be abstract or lifelike. Trust your instinct as to what color, shape, and form it wishes to be. Now I would say, enjoy creating and reflecting with this song, Pause for Peace by Joshua Specht. We'll reconnect after the song is done. So if you're going to draw or paint, hit pause once again, but then unpause for my final concluding message, because I have a beautiful quote that accompanies today's theme. Okay, so if you're just tuning in, you're catching the tail end of Live Radiantly. I've just guided listeners through an art therapy experiential, which you can benefit from once this episode is live under the Live Radiantly podcast, or in the podcast archives. Oh, stumbling over my words. If you've just come through the experiential with me, congratulations, you did it. You may need more time to explore, and I hope you give yourself the time you deserve. Now give your creation a title. Whatever the first thing that comes to mind. Often this brings additional awareness and insight. So write it down or mentally note what it is. I'd love to leave you today with one of my favorite quotes by Rumi, which has guided me on many occasions where I felt lost. He reminds us, the wound is the place where the light enters you. May it serve you well as you ponder today's theme. I invite you to be in touch with me. I love connecting with, in this case, people watching. My contact details, including the sign up for my free art therapy Substack, are all available in my YouTube profile. All the links will be there waiting for you, and a few other goodies too. Before we say goodbye, let's take a moment to breathe in what we created together. Do you feel a shift inside? May this experience continue to reverberate throughout your day. Until we meet again, I invite you to spark your curiosity and tune into your creativity so that you can live radiantly. And please tune in to my YouTube channel every day if you feel like, between once a week videos like this one and my shorts. I'm here to help you live radiantly, to feel strong within so that you can, just enjoy life a little bit more. I hope you have a beautiful day.